Wow. So it's Tuesday, I'm getting started on this a day late, and yesterday was pretty busy. I had some stuff to do when I got home. I packed some candle orders, and then I spent a long time editing last week's vlog, which still hasn't gone up because I've had to re-render. It's like re-rendering over here, but I had to re-render the entire thing because for some reason the exported file was corrupt, and because my vlogs are so big they take upwards of 3 hours to export, and I edit them on Monday night, so I leave them exporting overnight and then upload them in the morning, and then like put the cards and everything in on my lunch break at work. So if something goes wrong, my vlogs are definitely going up late because I don't have the time to fix them, and I should really start editing on Sundays, but I always say that I'm going to, but I never do. So that's what happened yesterday. I didn't get much reading done either. But I'm going to start off by telling you what I am currently reading. So the one that I don't talk much about is Clash of Kings. I'm on page 598 of this. So since my last vlog update, I've read around 100 pages. I read 30-ish yesterday and nearly 70 today. I am still enjoying this. It's just like a long haul, you know. These books are big and they are a slog to get through, and I don't really have much to say when I'm checking in apart from my page number because I've pretty much said it. Like, parts are slow, it's enjoyable. What I will say though is that it's a shame about Davos's perspectives, because obviously I'm hosting the read along for this, so I have the Twitter and stuff and people are sharing their thoughts with the hashtag, and a lot of people are saying that his chapters are boring, and it's sad because I really like Davos and in his perspectives I really like him, but Stannis is just such a boring bastard that it ruins Davos's perspectives completely. So that's where I'm up to with this. For the magical readathon, this is 4 potions to read a sequel, and for Bookoplay, this is my second role to read an adult fantasy. I've just been plodding along with it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm hoping to finish it this week. So if you've been watching my vlogs or any of my videos really, you'll know that I'm kind of reading that in bits, because if I read too much it gives me a bit of an information overload. So the other book I'm currently reading is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. I'm on page 130 of this. I've read about 30 pages since I last updated, and this is the first book in the Witcher series, which is what the video games are based on. So I've only played a little bit of the video games. I was very late to the party. I was playing something else apparently when they came out, and I got The Witcher 3 maybe last year, and I played a little bit of it. I do enjoy it, it's just I don't have as much time for video games now, so it's not very often that I will complete a game. I tend to go through a period where I'll be obsessed with a game for a week and not read very much, and then I'll sort of go back to my normal habits of reading. So I just kind of left The Witcher behind a little bit, but I played maybe a third of that game, so I am familiar with the world. Now, if you're not familiar with the storyline, The Witcher follows Geralt of Rivia, who is a witcher, which is a monster hunter, and the first 2 books in this series are collections of short stories as he goes and hunts monsters. So I struggled with the writing style a little bit in this. I mentioned briefly at the end of last week's vlog that I find the dialogue to be repetitive and a bit stilted. It's an odd way of writing dialogue in my personal opinion, and it kind of seems unnecessary, but this book is like 25 years old, so I haven't read a ton of really old fantasy, so that may be indicative of the time. Another issue I kind of had with this is that in the short stories, Geralt would meet a monster or kill a monster or catch a monster, and he'd say like, this is a strigger, but then he wouldn't say what a strigger is. He'd be like, oh, this thing is rising from the graves and it's eating people, it's a strigger. And I don't know what that is. I'm not familiar enough with the games to know about that. I was talking in my comments to somebody about these books, and she said that she had been warned beforehand that it's kind of like a stream of consciousness style starting out, which makes sense why there's no context or explanations of what these monsters are or the characteristics of the monsters. So it took a while to get into. I'm now on, I think I'm on the 3rd story, and I'm enjoying it a little bit more now. What I am finding particularly interesting about this is that they're definitely connected to fairy tales that we know today. So one of them was very clearly a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and the one that I am currently reading has a little bit of Snow White and a little bit of Sleeping Beauty. So the story itself is retelling Snow White, but at the very beginning of the story, Geralt goes to a wizard who lives in a tower. The wizard is telling Geralt about all of these girls that were born on the eclipse who he believes are cursed, and I think he calls it like the Black Moon curse, and instead of killing them they locked them in towers, and then princes got ideas that they should be rescued and went to save them, and then like let them loose in the world. So I really liked that interpretation of the Rapunzel type fairy tale. So the thing that I'm enjoying the most about this at the moment is its connection to real world fairy tales. It is a quick read because even though it is a mass market paperback and they normally have tiny text, it's well spaced and the font is a reasonable size. So I am reading it quite quickly. It's not very dense because, like I said, there's not a lot of context, but there are just a couple of things that I am struggling with this. If you guys are familiar with me, you'll know that I don't really like short fiction, so I'm not expecting to fully love a collection of short stories, but I am going to persevere through this series until I at least make it into the core books of the series, because unfortunately these short story volumes are a necessary evil, well, evil to me because I don't like short fiction, before I can get into the actual core series. So that is everything that I'm currently reading. I have been to the library today. I had to renew some books, but I couldn't do it online because I'd already renewed them the maximum amount of time, so I had to take them back to take them out again. I also had a book that I had reserved to pick up and a book that I got out that I have to take back because I got the wrong book. But the one that I had reserved was Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. I think at the beginning of last week I finished Every Heart a Doorway. Even upon reread, I didn't really like it, but I said that I would persevere and read at least one more book in this series. These are novellas and I'm assuming that each book has a different feel because a lot of them take place in different worlds. This one takes place in the portal world that Jack and Jill went to, I think. Yeah, so this takes place before the events of Every Heart a Doorway in the portal world that Jack and Jill go to. Now, one of the things that I think I didn't like about the first book was the murder mystery, and I don't think there's going to be a murder mystery in this, so it may just be a case of that particular book's plot did not sit with me and I may enjoy this one a little bit more. The other book I got out, I'm going to show you even though I have to take it back, and I'm really disappointed. Every time I go, whether I'm just like dropping off or picking up reserved items, I always have a look at everything because I am a member of one of those libraries that is connected to the rest of the libraries in the area, so things are coming in and out all the time as people are picking up from other libraries and dropping off at the one that's closest to me. So I saw this book and I didn't even read the full name. I just recognized the spine and I read the first word, and I dithered about it for a while because I really don't need any more library books out. I have like nearly 300 books that I own to read, as well as other library books that I already have out. But the way I use my libraries is kind of in an opportunist way. If I see something that I would not necessarily go out and buy, but I do want to read, then I will pick it up and I use that as my sort of fate intervention. So it's like, oh, if this is here in this moment, then I'm meant to read it right now. And so I got out Ancillary Sword by Anne Leckie. I just read the word ancillary and I thought it was Ancillary Justice, and it's not. So this is the second book in the series and I can't read it, so I'm gonna have to take it back. But it's okay because that's another excuse to go to the library. I have just renewed this book because I've had it out for quite some time and only just gotten around to it, so it was due back. I'm gonna go return this next week because I'll be done with it, and I will take back this one as well. So that's everything I have for right now. This is a much longer update than I thought it would be. I literally thought I'd be here for a couple of minutes because I am going out. Tonight we are going to the cinema to see Dumbo, and before that we are going to Chiquitos. Chiquitos is a Mexican restaurant and I have never eaten Mexican food before. That's kind of a lie. I've had like a burrito, but I've never been to a restaurant that solely sells Mexican food, and the reason for that is because I haven't eaten very much Mexican food. I don't know what any of the dishes are and what they contain, so it's gonna be an experience. I have Google at the ready. I've already Googled a couple of things like what a chimichanga is, so I'll take you guys with me and we'll see what I get. This isn't gonna work. Hey. Hi. I'm too tall. This isn't working. How about no, I'm still down here. So we saw Dumbo. It was good. It was okay. It was sad.
It was happy too.
I cried a lot.
Did you?
Even when it was happy. It's not Tim Burton's best.
Like if you didn't know it was directed by Tim Burton, you wouldn't.
Oh, you would in the Dreamland scene.
Yeah.
That's like totally his style, but
apart from that,
I think the beginning was very slow and then the rest was good. That's better. Now that I'm done.
Electric.
So So yeah, we're gonna head home now.
Aye.
Hey guys, so it is about 1 AM on Friday morning now, and I haven't been updating you this week. Like, I feel like I really neglected you, but the reason for that is that I'm not making a whole lot of progress. Like, I am still reading around 100 pages per day. I have had my worst week so far of the month, but I'm still reading a significant amount. It's just I'm not making a lot of progress. I'm predominantly reading Clash of Kings and then not reading very much of The Last Wish, so I don't have anything to really update you on. But I'm just about to get in bed, and I thought I would just let you know where I'm up to. And I also went to the library again today and I got another book out because I hate myself apparently. So I've made a ton of progress in A Clash of Kings. I am up to page 740 of this, which means I have about 130 pages left. I'm hoping to finish this weekend. It is Good Friday tomorrow, which means that I have a 4-day weekend. I'm not sure how much reading I'll get done because I said at the end of last week's vlog that I don't read a lot of the weekends, but I am hoping to at least finish these 2 books, fingers crossed. So I have 130 pages of this left. I feel like this book only really picks up at the end. It's a lot of posturing and moving pieces around on like the metaphorical chessboard and politicking, and not a whole lot of action is happening. But I do know that I'm getting to like a key battle that I remember from the show, so this is picking up a little bit more. There's been a couple of very interesting chapters, so by the end of the weekend I'm hoping to read those last 130 pages. It shouldn't be much of a push. I have a 4-day weekend. That's like 30 pages per day, but I'm glad for this one to be done because then I feel like I'll be making a lot more progress in other things. I have enjoyed my time reading this, especially now that season 8 of the show is on, because in the past when I've watched the show it's made me want to really pick up the books. I just didn't have the space in my TBR, so now that the show's back on and I'm actually reading the series, it's really motivating me to dive deep into the world. So that's where I'm up to with this one. I can't remember what page I was on Monday of this, but I'm currently on page 228. So again, I think I have about 130 pages of this left as well. I'm still not really enjoying this. I feel like the stories alternate between like 2-star stories and 4-star stories. So normally when I read short story collections, although I tend to do this with anthologies or short stories that aren't set in the same series, like independent standalone short stories in a collection, I will rate each individual one and then do an average rating. And I think I'm gonna do this for this one because I'm on my second story that I would probably rate maybe 4 stars, but everything else is pretty much a 2-star story in this. I'm really not enjoying it that much. Still enjoying the fairy tale references. Since I last checked in, we've had a Cinderella reference, we've also had Rumpelstiltskin and the goblin under the bridge, you know, that charges people for passage. That's been referenced. So I'm still enjoying the fairy tale references, but I don't really like the writing style. The last story I read was so boring and I really hated it. I don't know what to do. I had a look on Goodreads for this and I'm pretty sure everybody that I'm friends with on Goodreads has rated this either 4 or 5 stars, and I'm just not enjoying it. So there's that. So today I went to the library because my boyfriend went to cut his mother's grass, and instead of sitting around and chatting for an hour, I decided to go to the library so I could get some quality reading time. However, the employees don't seem to know how libraries work because I was sat in there and one of them went over to the sort of desk that's near the checkout stations and the other one was sat on the other side of the library at a desk where the phones are. And all of a sudden, like, I'm just reading, they've been talking like constantly, just so much noise. The worst library experience ever. And then one just like yells across the room to the other like, do you have any plans for the weekend? And I'm like, well, my weekend starts now when I planned on reading in the library for an hour and you guys are being loud. So that annoyed me, but I did get one book out. I didn't really intend to go looking for books. I was just going to sit there and read, but I had a look at what they had. And I found Always and Forever Lara Jean by Jenny Han, and you guys know I have a terrible relationship with this series. The first book made my most disappointing reads of last year and the second book made my worst books of last year. Essentially, I don't like a lot of the characters in this. They really frustrate me, but what I do like about it is that it's a quick and easy read. It doesn't take a lot of concentration or a lot of my time, and if you guys don't know this about me, I'm a completionist, so it's very rare that I will DNF a book or a series. So while this is a quick read and it's easy to read, instead of just not reading the last book, I thought I may as well just wrap this up. And obviously I'm not going to buy it because I don't like the other books in this series. So while I saw it in the library, I thought, you know what, I might as well just get it now and just get it over with as soon as possible. So I got this. You guys probably know because there was a Netflix movie made last year, but this is about Lara Jean. She loves baking. She writes letters to boys telling them that she's in love with them, like throughout pretty much her entire life, and then somebody mails those letters out even though they're never intended to be seen, and suddenly all these boys are asking her why she's writing them love letters. And then there's like a fake dating trope, and she has like the most irritating older sister. But that's roughly the plot of this one. Don't like it really, but I'll finish out the series. So with my 4-day weekend, I plan on doing a lot of filming tomorrow actually. The weather is supposed to be really, really nice though, so I do plan on spending a lot of the weekend in the garden reading. I will check in with you along the way where I'm up to, but right now it is 1:15 AM, so I'm gonna go get in bed. Hey guys, so it is Saturday morning and I have my coffee and I'm here to update you on some things. So last night at about, I'm gonna say it was around 2 AM, I finished The Last Wish by xxbeccabumxx and I have given this 2 stars, which is definitely an unpopular opinion. I went through Goodreads yesterday and I did look at all my friends' ratings. Only one other person has rated this a 2. And it's really interesting to me actually because I was looking through the reviews and there were a lot of people who said like 2 stories were really good and the rest are really boring, 4 stars. And I was like, okay, everybody's ratings to their own. But this is a well-loved book. People really like this book and people really like this series. And as I've said, there's definitely aspects I like about it. I love the fairy tales, and something else that I haven't mentioned that I really love is I love the characters of Geralt, Yen and Dandelion, and I'm definitely excited to see more of those. It's just I didn't really like the writing style and the way that the dialogue was written, and some of the stories were really boring. So if I was to rate each story individually, the story that I'd give 4 stars is The Lesser Evil. I would give the story with Yen about a 3.5, and The Edge of the World, which is the first one with Dandelion, I would probably give a 3. And then the other 3, I think there's 3 more, I would give 2 of them 2 stars, 1 of them 1 star, and the bit that goes in between, the Voice of Reason storyline that sort of links them all together, I wouldn't really rate that because it does serve to link them all together and not much else, but that was like okay. I guess it's hard for me to judge when it's broke up by a story every time. So I gave this 2 stars and I didn't love it. I didn't, but it was to be expected. With it being a collection of short stories and a lot of people said they really didn't like it, I expected to give this a 4 at most, so it's not surprising to me that I rated it 2. So you may have noticed that I'm dressed for warm weather. I'm about to head out into the garden. I've got my coffee and once I've drank that, I'll be heading out. But I read 130 pages of The Witcher yesterday and finished it, and today I'm hoping to do the same with Clash of Kings, which will be a little more of an ask because it's a lot more dense than The Witcher is. But they're my reading plans for the day. I'm going to try and finish this. Aside from that, I'm going to walk the dog today. I might work out, and that's about it. The weather's nice, it's bank holiday weekend, and I'm going to enjoy the sun and relax. Hey guys, so I'm just checking in super quickly to say that I just finished Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. I gave this 4 stars just because it was a little bit slower and I wasn't as invested as I was in the first book. I felt like I wasn't enjoying as many of the perspectives, and it was a lot of politics, like things just like people moving pieces around on the board of the war, and a lot of the battles that happened weren't on page, which is interesting. I find the perspectives in this book really interesting because I don't feel like they're following the main of the action. Like this book has tons of kings but none of those perspectives really follow any of them. So I gave this one 4 stars. I'm now going to head out and go for a bike ride with the dog, and then we're gonna bath her, we're gonna brush her, I'm gonna put the Easter roast on, and then I'm gonna head back out into the garden and start a new book. Okay, so it's quite late on Sunday now. I think it's actually, yeah, it's 12:40 AM. So I think it's about time that I wrapped up this vlog. Tomorrow is my last day off work, which is sad because, you know, I wish every day I was off work. I'm also not staying up to watch Game of Thrones tonight. I was going to, but I'm kind of tired. So I'm probably gonna catch up like first thing in the morning instead of staying up till 2 AM, because even though I haven't done a lot today, I'm still pretty exhausted. I don't have any of my books to hand either because I've left them scattered around the house. This week I completed The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. That was my 5th Bookopoly roll to read another booktuber's legacy book, and for the Owl's Magical Readathon that was for History of Magic, to read a book published at least 10 years ago. And then today I finally finished Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin, and that was my 2nd Bookopoly roll to read an adult fantasy. And then for the Magical Readathon, that one was for Potions, to read a sequel. So now I only have 1 Bookopoly book left and 1 book I need for my Owls career. Sadly, they're not both the same book, but today I did start The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is my last mandatory Bookopoly roll for the month, so I'm definitely going to complete that. This one was to read a contemporary or a romance, I think, and for the Owls it is for astronomy, to read a book with star in the title. It is the only one I own with star in the title, I think. So I am on page 155 of this. I'm almost halfway already, and I didn't even spend that long reading it. But if you look, like, a lot of the pages are like this, where you have like 2 chapters on, like, a page per chapter, and sometimes not even a full page. So this book follows 2 teenagers. The boy is a Korean American and the girl is a illegal immigrant from Jamaica. This book takes place over a 24-hour period, and our 2 main characters meet in New York on the day that our female main character is going to be deported. So she's going around New York City trying to find as many people, like lawyers and paralegals, who can help her stay in the country as possible. The male main character is from a very different background. His parents are legal immigrants and they own a legitimate business, and he is on his way to a Yale interview. They meet, they're hanging out. It's very much a romance. It's very much cliched. I can't say I'm enjoying it too much, to be honest, but it is quick and easy to read, which is kind of what I want from books like this. You guys know that I don't love contemporaries, but I do like to spice up my reading a little bit by something that's like fast and light and kind of just nice to read, as opposed to headache inducing like a lot of high fantasy is. Another thing about this, like, it's really quick to read because of what I said about the chapters being so short. However, I am finding that that leads to a very disjointed reading experience, so I'm not too sure how I'm enjoying that, because the chapters, I don't think I've read a chapter that's longer than 5 pages so far, and the 5 chapter pages are the exception. The rest are shorter than that, so it's kind of disjointed and choppy, but that's making it fast to read, I guess. So I will probably be done with this tomorrow, so you can look forward to my full review of this at the beginning of next week's vlog. So for the Owls Readathon so far, I have completed 5 Owls and Bookopoly. I just have this book left to do. So April is a really successful reading month. I'm gonna go now, guys, because I'm really tired. I'm gonna take the dog out again tomorrow and walk her while I cycle, I guess. But that's it from me today, guys. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to, and I'll check in with you very soon. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.